I posted a video, it's a real short one, of my walk this morning. It's been raining, so a lot of the snow is melted. I tried to get over here to this pile of loam 2 or 3 times, but I kept getting interrupted. So I'm back now, even though the snow was melted off it. I was afraid that I couldn't see the holes very much to demonstrate to you folks until if there was no snow, but I think it's dark and dreary enough where you can see at least this one hole behind me. Now, what this is this whole place here where I live used to be a field, and then it was turned into a cow pasture. Now, before the beaver came in and dammed up the bog here, the water used to flow slowly. It was one of the best trout fishing spots in this area years ago. So, but anyway, since the beaver has dammed a lot of the bog up, especially downstream, it's pretty hard to walk out in the bog because it's flooded, right? That's what beaver do. So, but back then, the beaver were kept under control by the old timers, right? One being my grandfather. They were kept under control. So, say or think whatever you want about that. I'm just going to drop it. That's just fact. So, my grandfather had cows. I don't know what kind of cows, no idea. But he had cows here, and this used to be a field. He turned it into pasture. And then when he got rid of the cows, he allowed it to grow up. But before it was allowed to grow up, he sold off the topsoil here. So behind me, and this is in the 1980s, okay, 1980s. So this right here is a pile of loam. It was scraped up, and they meant to come back and get it. And matter of fact, there's 3 or 4 piles like this through the woods where they never come back and got this loam here in this area. So this is what? Almost 40-year-old loam. So I don't know how much nutrients are in it, but that will be substance for soil building in my garden, right? So, but in that, you see that hole right there? Right there? That is a fox den. What they'll do is they'll find an area that they like that allows shelter and something that is drainable. Well, loam is pretty drainable, right? So they dug a hole there years ago, and they used that as a fox den for several years. So that's what the fox like. There's another fox den that I'm going to show you. I'm going to disappear from the camera, and I'm just going to show you the fox den that I recorded a little bit earlier. So I'm not sure. I know we have red fox and we have the gray fox here. Now, a lot of people think that a gray fox, because it has red in it, is where a gray fox and a red fox bred. They do not interbreed. A gray fox has a little bit of red in it anyway. They're not totally gray. Now, I'm sure you can find foxes that are all gray, just like human. We have different skin pigmentation, right? So just because it's a red fox doesn't mean it looks exactly like every other red fox. It could have a larger tip on the tail. It could, who knows, right? So the difference between a gray fox and a red fox, the red fox is more common here in Maine, and they're a little bit bigger. The gray fox is, I think, about a third or at least a quarter smaller. They're a smaller fox. And they're really pretty. They really are pretty. So you get here, the gray fox can be almost all black with a little bit of gray. Some of them are 2 or 3 different shades of gray, and there's some red like behind the shoulders and along the belly and whatnot. So, but yes, here in Maine we have the gray fox and the red fox. The red fox and the gray fox they're fox, but they're 2 separate species. So today is March 31st. Tomorrow is April Fool's. April Fool's up here. We reminisce. I think it was like 1987 is when we had the great flood here in Maine, where we got 2 rainstorms back to back, real big rainstorms, and we had some snow on the ground. We had a lot of snow. We went into winter with the ground saturated. We got a lot of snow, and we still had a lot of snow on the ground this time of year when it was just flooded here in Maine. A lot of destruction. A lot of roads were closed. A lot of bridges were swept away. A lot of businesses, barns, houses I saw floating down the river. And it hit a local, it used to be called Pride's Manufacturing in Guilford, Maine. And they would take birch logs and they would make different things out of them. The biggest one, I think, was toothpicks. They're kind of known for making toothpicks years ago. So you had these short chunks of birch that were just, they floated for miles, folks. And as the water receded, the birch was still floating, and they just littered the whole area with birch logs. So that company lost some money that year, I'm pretty sure. So it was quite memorable. That was the same rainstorm where I had a car that I parked in the lower driveway, and the water was coming in so fast through the culvert right there. It was a 5-foot culvert with a real small stream, a real small brook, and got a call 2 o'clock in the morning saying that I might want to go move my car because it was about ready to be washed downstream. Well, I got my car, I got it out of there. Everything was good, but I couldn't go anywhere because everything was flooded, right? So for those of you in Maine, for those of you who lived in Maine, and you remember the April Fool's Great Flood of 1987, I'm sure you've got some stories yourself. Now, it is getting quite foggy. I'll try to turn this camera around before I'm done. It just stopped raining. I've got my rain hat on. I got my rain jacket, and it's still dripping pretty good. But I just wanted to come back over here to show you an example of a fox den, and another fox den that is up in the gravel pit. We've seen fox come out of that den. We've seen coyotes come out of that den, and my cousin said he saw a bobcat come out of that den. So they will, if they think it's suitable and they want to get out of the storm, or they're scouting for places to do what they need to do. Or maybe the coyote, maybe it was a fox den and the coyote went in there to maybe get some baby fox, or maybe the bobcat did. Who knows? Or maybe when the fox moves out, maybe the coyote finds that a place to den up, or maybe a bobcat was scouting if that's a possible place to have their young. I don't know. I guess that's it. It's a Monday. I'm really tired. It was horrible driving home late last night because it was freezing rain and sleet. And I'm not going to say anything. Actually, this is all I'm going to say. If we're going to have those electronic billboards along the interstate that have those goofy and really silly and really stupid sayings on them, I think give a warning that the roads are slippery, like reduce speed to 45. What happened to reduce speed to 45? Even when it was even remotely possible for it to be slippery. Because the further I work in Bangor and coming home, excuse me, the further north I got, the worse the roads got. And every one of those billboards were off, folks. Not a one was lit up. So, good old taxpayer money, right? So, anyway, I think that was a whole waste of money. Whatever. So, it was pretty bad driving home last night. It took me quite a while to get home. But I'm here. I lived. I didn't go off the road. A few idiots passed me, going way too fast. But that's what happens, right? That's why you always have to be a defensive driver, folks. You can do everything right. You can use every precaution. You can go the speed limit that you should under the weather conditions. But then you have this idiot that thinks that just because they have a jacked up four-wheel drive, and with probably a 2 or 3 or 4 inch lift kit, that they can just go speeding by here. And I don't know what those exhaust things are that when they stomp on the gas, it just blats, like it crackles and it blats. That's all well and good, but you don't do that when you're driving on slippery roads passing someone. You could scare the living shit right out of them. But anyway, y'all be good. Bye.